So, picture this. It's the early 2000s, and a young me has not long started high school, and a craze is sweeping the nation. No. In fact, it's worldwide. Young children are capturing and training small but powerful monsters and forcing them to fight each other for fun and profit. Pokémon has gone worldwide, and I'm hooked. When I first got bitten by the Pokémon bug, not a bug Pokémon, an important distinction, it was Pokémon Red for the Game Boy, and I played that game all through the night and into the next morning, the weekend I got it, stopping only to change batteries in my Game Boy. And I went through a lot of batteries. For me, Pokémon Red was a seminal moment in my love affair with video games, but the best was yet to come. The hugely popular Pokémon cartoon series, which hasn't aged well, take my word for it, made Pikachu, the little electric mouse, a household name. He's the undeniable face of the franchise across all media. So, to better reflect his popularity, developers Game Freak took Pokémon Red and Blue, which were in themselves already improved international editions of the original Japanese releases Red and Green, made some further tweaks and additions to better follow the plot and style of the TV series, and in doing so gave us the definitive edition of this original generation, this first generation of Pokemon games. It's Pokemon Yellow Special Pikachu Edition. Now, I have no particular love for this game's mascot. Cute as the little bugger is, Pikachu's no Charizard or Gengar or Snorlax. I value power over prettiness. But Pikachu's presence is just the smallest part of what makes this version of the game so definitive. I mean, we're talking about a expanded version of games that are already stone cold classics. So it's just the little details that pick this over the edge. If you don't know what the Pokemon games are all about, well, there isn't a great deal to it. You play as a young boy who's given a Pokemon and embarks on a great adventure across the Kanto region. You catch new monsters, train them to be more powerful, and use them in Pokemon battles. As you travel around, racking up victories so you can become the Pokemon League champion, you stumble across the schemes of the evil criminal syndicate Team Rocket and aim to thwart their plans. Unlike the previous versions of the game, in which at the start of the game you'd pick one of 3 starter Pokemon, the now iconic Bulbasaur, Charmander, and Squirtle, in Pokemon Yellow you're given a Pikachu who refuses to stay inside his Pokeball and follows you around, allowing you to build a special bond with him. Now, certainly for me, and I would imagine most people, certainly of my age, the narrative isn't what you come to Pokemon for, it's the creatures. The staggering popularity of these original games and the franchise's longevity have made these original 151 Pocket Monsters icons of gaming. I mean, Pokemon Go wasn't successful because it was a good game. Because it isn't. I mean, it was successful because all of a sudden you could relive your memories of capturing those original 151 Pokemon. Well, give or take a few. But even with the nostalgia glasses off, the designs of the creatures and the joy of discovering them remains compelling. Except maybe for Zubat. There's always too many Zubat. Compared even to its RPG peers at the time, the world of Pokemon Yellow is relatively simplistic. But there's just enough character there to make the world fun to be in, and really it's all just fancy window dressing for the monster battles. Now, mechanics have changed and improved with each iteration in the series, and going back to this first set can sometimes feel, again, simplistic by comparison. However, This is the foundation on which the staggeringly and almost inaccessibly deep complex mechanics of the current modern Pokemon games are based. However, with this being the first outing for those mechanics, of course all the kinks aren't ironed out. It's staggeringly unbalanced, and if you don't know what you're doing, it can be kind of irritating. And to be fair, although there aren't as many tactical options as there are now, there are certainly better Pokemon to use, but nothing's not viable. I mean, you can basically just grab an Alakazam and sweep the entire game aside. There's not really any resistance to psychic types in these games. They're kind of broken in that respect. But, you know, you can always grab a Bellsprout and just poison and wrap everything to death. Wrap is lethal in this first generation. You can get a Drowsy and put everything to sleep and eat its nightmares. Go ahead. You want a Diglett dig? I can dig it. It's all good. Look, it's rough, it's unrefined, and it is, as I say, shockingly unbalanced. But you can crack it wide open. And even if you don't, it's still fun, and that's the one thing these games have always delivered, the one thing that keeps me coming back even to the older ones. Fun. Gotta remember fun. Other mechanics that would become central parts of the later Pokemon games also have their origins here too. The following generation of games, Pokemon Gold and Silver, would introduce a full friendship system that would let you build bonds with all of your Pokemon, allowing them to grow stronger. Some of them would evolve into new forms. However, the Pikachu in this game is a prototype of this system. And it's the first time the franchise really taps into one of its central tenets philosophically, which is that if you treat your Pokemon better, they'll do better for you, fight harder, just straight up love you more. Pikachu following you around became a very well-loved mechanic that, for some reason, just didn't appear again until 2009, when Heart Gold and Soul Silver, which are remakes of the game's successors, Gold and Silver, introduced that mechanic for any Pokemon in your team. And then it disappeared once more until it comes back in the recently released Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, which themselves are ground-up modern reimaginings of Pokemon Yellow. Nearly 20 years later. I mean, if nothing else, this series has got some serious legs. Now, considering its longevity and being a series with as many remakes in its history as Pokemon, you'd be forgiven for neglecting earlier games in the series, if for no other reason than dated mechanics and dated graphics. Pokemon Yellow already looked dated when it was first released, but it's also a great example of art style trumping technical prowess. Of the 3 Generation 1 games, Yellow has definitely aged the best. It's got proper Game Boy Color support, and it's got some slight visual upgrades from Red and Blue. Well, I say slight. They gave all 151 Pokemon new front sprites that actually match the character models, and they're crisper and cleaner. You see, the original Red and Green in Japan were released before some of those character models were nailed down into the forms we know today, and they didn't fix that for the international releases of Red and Blue. As I say, these new designs are really clean and crisp, and they really pop with the Game Boy Color support. There are also a number of characters redrawn to more closely resemble their animation counterparts, and they've also added the Team Rocket losers Jesse and James in new battles with their infamous original team of Coughing, Ekans, and Meowth. If the graphics put you off revisiting the first set of games, this one's your best bet. As I say, it's aged the best. Also, they let you get all 3 starters, so you don't have to choose. That's great. Finally, and most crucially of course, access to these games can be a little tricky. Emulation and less legitimate means have been around for years and years. However, if you're wanting to get your hands on an original cartridge, not only is it going to set you back a pretty penny, but it's probably not going to work. The save data in these games was powered by a battery backup, which in the original cartridges, 20 years old, has long since run dry. On the other hand, if you have a Nintendo 3DS, like say this one, then you can get all of these games on Nintendo's Virtual Console service. Well, I say all of these games. The 3 first generation games and the 3 second generation games. Red, Blue, Yellow, Gold, Silver, and Crystal. They've got wireless support, so you can still trade and do the multiplayer features, and you can also transfer the Pokemon to the most current, as of the recording of this video, 7th generation games. I really love it. I think it's a really great way to play. I've got red and yellow and gold on this one, and on my 2DS I've got blue and silver, because I have a poker problem. Pokey problem, not a poker problem. I don't gamble. Now, of course, I've had to transfer my data to an emulator to capture footage for this video, but footage capture aside, I always play on the 3DS. I've never really been a big fan of emulators, and I prefer to stick to original hardware, or as close to it as possible, with legit copies, wherever I can. Look, the original Pokemon games are all classics, and this is the best of that first trio. For all its dated graphics and busted mechanics, there's just so much to love here. From getting your first Pokemon, fighting all the gym leaders, taking down Team Rocket, going after the legendary birds, finally finding Mewtwo. From Pallet Town all the way to the Indigo Plateau, where you finally challenge the Elite Four, and beyond. Pokemon Yellow's simplicity is its strength. Let yourself get caught up in it, and enjoy that sensation of looking up after what you think has been 15 minutes and finding out you've been playing for 3 hours. I love this franchise, and that love started here. Big damn love, in fact, for Pokemon Yellow. Thanks for watching, folks. I hope you've enjoyed this little trip down memory lane. Me or Chris will be back for some more Big Damn Love at some point when we can get them out, basically. In the meantime, let us know what you think. If you've got any topics that you think we should cover, again, let us know in the comments at BigDamnCast on Twitter, BigDamnContact@gmail.com for the podcast every Friday here on YouTube. Keep an eye on twitch.tv/BigDamnStream for new streams, and of course, twice weekly you've got my adventures and backlogging on the YouTube channel as well. Bear in mind though, if you suggest a topic, we've got to actually love it to cover it, so you think you know us? Prove it. Anyway, I'm off to play more Pokemon, because that's all I do with Nintendo machines now. They're just Pokemon machines to me. Bye.